Welcome back. All right, so I want to talk about Cobra Kai. I power watched every episode. I was talking about it yesterday during a street hockey game that we had. Because, yeah, I watched the whole thing. The one thing with Cobra Kai is I like to read articles, I like to read speculation on what's going to happen next season. So, as soon as the next season dropped, which is season 5 we just had, I knew I had to watch the whole thing. I was like, I got to watch the whole thing. It's going to take me a little over 24 hours. And interestingly enough, it's the reason why I ended up with one less video on the hockey guy yesterday than I had intended to record. Because I was looking at the time and I was like, man, there's 2 more episodes left. Do I actually set up and do this video? Or do I watch something that I'm going to review later on the entertainment guy that might generate 150 views? Yeah, because Cobra Kai is that good. I think season 5 was the best season they've had. I think there was a nice balance between the ridiculousness and the character growth. And there was some character growth. Now, of course, we set up at the end of last season Miguel going off to Mexico to find his dad. He aged a year while he was on the bus. The funniest thing about the show, and I was reading an interview with Peyton List, who plays Tori on the show, and she said it is kind of ridiculous that at the time the show started, they were high school students playing high school students, but now it feels like everybody's graduated college and they're still playing high school students. So they're wondering if for season 6, does this mean we're going into grade 12? What's going on? We haven't graduated. What's happening? And she's right. They've definitely aged out of the roles. The part that I thought was funniest was, first off, Anthony continues to just, he's really, if I had a kid that was growing that fast, I would have some concerns. And then Kenny was short last season, and he's had a growth spurt, so now he's face to face, eye to eye with Robbie, and so I got a real kick out of it because I was like, wait a minute, wasn't the tournament just happened, and these kids have grown up by a year, and it's part of the reason why, and we've seen this with Stranger Things too. It does get kind of awkward. It really does. The difference is Stranger Things, they allow for there to be time in between each season, and Cobra Kai, it's kind of we'll pick up where we left off. Great. But the kids look completely different. Sam, for instance, it looks like the actress that played Sam, I think she's lost weight from the last season. She looked different. Her hair was completely different. And I thought, wow, that's quite the transformation that she's made in process of, what, a week? Maybe? Like, it just, I got a kick out of it. But it was a very entertaining season. I did like what they did with all the characters. I like that there were as many of them as they could get in there without it feeling like it was overstuffed. Kreese, of course, is on the back burner. One thing that I thought was interesting was very telling was, so Kreese gets into a fight in prison, which, and I mean, spoiler alert, I'm going to get into some spoilers here for people who haven't seen it. So if you haven't watched, maybe turn it off now, go watch it, and then come back and watch the rest of this video. But yeah, Kreese is in prison, and when he gets into a fight, so what they've established is that Kreese is dealing with demons from his past. So when the fight takes place, it is the young actor playing the young Kreese that has the actual fight. The one thing I've wondered is the actor who plays Kreese, well, he's older, right? And one thing that's been talked about in previous seasons as well, and I think this is valid, is the idea that a man in his late 60s, early 70s having this karate power. Well, it feels odd, right? To see a guy who's in his 60s or 70s having fights with guys who are in their late 40s, early 50s and winning the fight and being able to beat up the kids too. But again, this is clearly in an alternate universe. It's a universe where everybody fights. There's karate everywhere. Amanda goes out to the bar at one point during this season, and when a fight broke out at the bar, I laughed really hard. I was like, of course a fight breaks out because everywhere people go, there's a fight. I had been really so stoked for having Chosen in the show. Boy, did they pay that off. Now, Chosen, I thought the bravado was kind of all over the place. It felt like at certain times they had this fish out of water. He doesn't really understand American concepts and all this. And then at other times he seemed to be pretty well spoken on things and well versed on things, but that's a petty thing. The other thing I noticed, and I don't know if other people noticed it either, it really felt like this season was more about Johnny and about Miguel than it was about Daniel, which I'm fine with. I think what we've established now through 5 seasons is that we have rewritten the Karate Kid movie, the original movie. You go back and watch it now, you could absolutely think to yourself, Johnny's reaction here might be over the top, but he's not wrong. That he had this girlfriend, and Daniel comes in, starts hitting on his girlfriend, and next thing you know, the girlfriend's breaking up with him, and yeah, he'd be choked. So it definitely feels like this show has taken that narrative and flipped it on its ear. I did get a kick out of Johnny this year. I I love the character. I also thought it was really funny that Miguel gets on a bus and he goes down to Mexico because he's looking for his dad. Gets off the bus and runs into surfers that are jerks, and they're Australians. Now I've met Australians that are jerks. I've also met Australians that are really nice guys. So I thought, well, this is from the jerkish part of their population, right? Which was fine, but they didn't get their comeuppance from Miguel. I thought, okay, so Miguel's going to spin kick one of these guys. He didn't. So as soon as Miguel takes off, I mumbled to myself, oh my God, Johnny's going to end up beating those guys up. This is really going to happen. That in a country like Mexico, where you've got millions and millions of people, and I mean, it's a beach and it's surfers, but who would have actually seen Miguel talking to these three surfers? Apparently, up around the bus stop, everybody's nosy. So just Johnny's like, yeah. So that guy says that those surfers up there were talking to Miguel, so I'm going to go talk to them. It's like, it's really nice that hours later, the surfers haven't moved. They're not very good surfers, and the board looked pretty bone dry to me, but that's me. And then of course the board gets busted, and I thought it was so funny. And then Robbie comes jumping in. This was the season of when a fight breaks out, people just jump into the frame. Robbie jumped in. Samantha jumps in to make the save for her mother too at the bar. Nobody ever calls the police. Nobody's ever charged with assault. Like with the big finale. And I'm not going to ruin the finale if you haven't seen it. I'm getting into some spoilers from the season, but I'll leave the finale. I'll leave the whole big ending where it is. But all I could think was, okay, so you're arresting this person, fine. Shouldn't all of the kids be getting arrested right now? Like, shouldn't we be in a situation where the police are like, okay, how many of you broke and entered? Oh God, how many of you kicked each other in the head? All of your hands went up. We're gonna need more handcuffs. Like, it's just, or maybe this city has been taken over by karate so much that the police just listen and go, okay, is it a karate-related violence thing? Look, we told the community, you guys got to handle it yourself. We can't be out there because every time we go out and we deal with one of these karate fights, real crime is getting unpunished in the city. So what do you want us to do? You want us to go? These guys seem to just karate fight each other. Okay, so they did a break and enter. Was it a karate fighting place that they broke into? Yeah, call us back when there's not a karate fighting case. It's ridiculous. It's over the top. It's something that, and I mean, Yvonne can't get over it. She can't get past the ridiculousness of it, which is what I love about it. I absolutely love that Stingray is forgotten for almost a whole season, and then, hey, remember Stingray? Yeah, he's back. And this time he's kind of like a character out of Stranger Things, because now it's all about him being a dungeon master and kind of explaining things in a roundabout way without saying it. So, yeah, it's, my wife and I have started watching Stranger Things. We're almost done season 2. So we've watched season 1, we're almost done season 2, and then we have 3 and 4 after that. And then we can talk about that on this channel as well. People were bugging us so much about watching Stranger Things. I'm like, well, let's go ahead and do it. So, we're enjoying it. That show we're enjoying, but yeah, it does feel like the ridiculousness of this show. Cobra Kai kind of broke her. It was season 4 where she said, "Yeah, this is just it's too stupid." And I was like, I can't debate how stupid the show can get, but for me, it fits in so well. Chosen was fantastic. This Kim, who comes in to help out Silver in his plan, she is so over the top evil. And just, it's so weird to see all these senseis just come in. And then the question I had too was, how is Daniel paying these people to help? Like, how's Chosen getting paid? What's his plan here? So, I don't know where they're going to go for next season. I'd like to see more of Mike Barnes. I thought we had criminally little from Mike Barnes. The same actor who played AJ on General Hospital and I didn't realize it was the same actor at the time. I remember watching Karate Kid 3, and would that have been around the time I was watching General Hospital? I used to watch a lot of soap operas because I didn't work during the day, and so I watched some soap operas. Another World was my favorite, but yeah, General Hospital I could watch here and there too. But yeah, I'm trying to remember. Anyways, it just because it clicked when the show started up, and Mike Barnes, that's the same actor, so I figured that out pretty quickly. But it is just very interesting to me watching the show and seeing how everybody interacts. I'd like to see Mike come back. There is the chance that Hilary Swank will be in the next season. So they've gone through Karate Kid 1, 2, and 3. The one they haven't tackled, which is kind of the elephant in the room as it is with this series, is the next Karate Kid with Hilary Swank, which at the time, as a kid, I thought was a fun movie. I tried watching it again not that long ago, and it's pretty bad. It is pretty bad. But so was Karate Kid 3. And while Karate Kid 3 was awful, the reality is that Silver made a fantastic villain in this series. They turned down his comedic overacting and cheesy lines. They turned down a lot of it, and they just made him kind of sort of crazy. I don't think we're done seeing him in the show either. I think that when a man's got a lot of money, he's got a lot of means, I think he's pretty likely to get out of prison sooner rather than later. So I don't think we're done with him. I don't know how this thing with Kreese is going to work out. The only thing I couldn't figure out was if you prove... So, okay, so this is kind of a spoiler. At the end, they're like, well, now he can go and he can keep Kreese, company in prison. And all I could think was, wait, Kreese was sent to prison for a crime that now they know wasn't committed by Kreese, that was committed by this guy. So, shouldn't Kreese get out of jail? So, Kreese is escaping jail while he should be getting released from jail, which tells me for season 6, you've got an easy out. That yes, Kreese, he does break out of prison, but A, it's karate related, so the police have nothing to do with it. And B, it's okay because you got the actual perpetrator in prison, so it's okay that he broke out. He actually saved you some paperwork. I find the whole thing bewildering, but again, you have to kind of take a look at it as alternate universe. Same thing I do with Stranger Things, alternate universe. So while you could look at it and go, well, the world didn't end in the 80s, so... But that's the thing, it's an alternate universe, so you just never know. I'm looking forward to next season. I know they haven't officially renewed it for season 6, but it's kind of just a known thing that it's going to go to at least 6 seasons, if not longer. It is a show that it is going to have an expiration date. I don't know how much further they can go with it. Even going into season 5, I thought, I don't know, this might be kind of out of gas. The one comment I saw from some reviewers online, and this wasn't from like the newspaper website reviewers, but the audience. The audience reviews, some of them said, well, the first half is really boring. The first half of the season is really boring. Nothing happens. But without that first half, you don't get the payoff of the second half. One thing that I've always appreciated, going back to movies from the 80s and from the 90s, and some of these that might be considered boring by today's standards. And I'll even tie in a wrestling analogy to this. Those boring episodes where they're actually giving you background on people and there's some fun stuff in there, it means that you're earning that action later. You're earning the face-kicking time later on in the show. And that used to be a regular thing, where the first half hour of a movie might be kind of boring, but it's because that last half hour there's going to be a lot of fighting and things blowing up. And so you kind of go, all right, well, this movie's setting this up, and then as soon as all the explosions start, then we're in. And then you feel like you've earned it. There's a lot of movies now that it starts with a chase scene, and then there's another one, and then there's another, and it can get exhausting. There's action movies now that I'm like, yeah, this is not great. And again, that's me. I do enjoy that setup and the idea that you're putting in some time to build up each layer and then things blow up. So the idea that, well, we don't know what Silver's planning. Well, they find out. And in the process of finding out, you also have Miguel dealing with his father. The one part that also really made me laugh was, so Miguel's with his dad, who turns out Hector turns out to be a pretty decent guy, and then all of a sudden he's a villain. And it's just from one scene to the next, he goes from, I love my wife and kids to, screw everybody. Nope, I'm done. I'm in it for myself. I'm done. That's it. I'm done. Finished. Hey kid, you want to come with me? And when when he took Miguel, I thought, okay, so he must know this kid's important, right? Like there's something he knows what's going. And then he went through Miguel's phone. And I'm like, okay, he's gonna recognize Carmen. Nope, didn't happen. He didn't go through, like, he was on his Facebook and he didn't go through the about, where it would show who his mother was, his grandmother, and all that, and all those people, and just looks through a few pictures and go, yeah, no, you're clean. That's how you forensically search his phone, is looking at his Facebook photos, and you look like 5 of them. Man, he's a kingpin apparently. I do wonder if, so Miguel told him that he was a Valley champion, right, in California. He did talk about the whole karate thing. Now they're doing the global karate Takai Senpai or Senkai. You guys know what I'm talking about. Sentai. I'm trying to remember now. But anyways, the World Karate Championships. Well, now, isn't there the possibility that his dad would look and go, Miguel's pretty good at this. I've got this pit fighting that I do in Mexico. I got a lot of money. Is there a way that I could get into the United States using my money and maybe take over one of these dojos, and I can help my kid along? And then that would create like this big tension between Johnny and this kingpin type character that's Miguel's dad, in a very comedic, over the top way. And of course his dad will know karate, because of course he will. I did find it funny too that in that part that Johnny and Robbie were both wearing the female body inspector shirts with say FBI on the front. Just, and I was like, yeah, it's the 80s. I remember those shirts in the 80s. Those were big. Those shirts were big. And I would not be surprised if you could still find them now in Mexico and anywhere. But yeah, so when Johnny picked that up, I was like, he's definitely a man from the 80s. That he would see that and go, this is great. This is awesome. Wouldn't even remember that from the 80s, though. Because I remember I was gifted one of those shirts. There really wasn't a place to put one of those shirts on and go out in public, though, because it's not really a message you want to be sending out to the whole world. At least I don't. And I don't have that shirt anymore, thankfully. But yeah, I thought it was funny. The Robbie Miguel stuff, I'm glad they put that to bed. I'm glad that's done. I was actually kind of glad, too, that Sam and Miguel broke up. And now they're kind of organically coming back together, which is good. It seems more realistic now than it did before, at least to me. And I got a kick out of Moon, who wasn't there long enough. The other thing that I thought was really funny, I laughed really hard at, was, so they're at the water park and everybody's fighting it out. And then you have like a race on an inner tube. And somehow there's a hole in the inner tube that Hawk's using, so he can't get down as fast as Tori does. Which, all right, sure. I don't know how he didn't know there was a hole in the inner tube while he was carrying it up there, but all right. Or maybe it was like, there's various ways they could have done it. But it was weird, because then you have the fight, and then he's like, that's it, all of you guys get out of here. And then kids that had nothing to do with any of the fighting that had happened get up to leave. And I'm like, why are they leaving? I understand that that's your friends leaving, but you came in a different car, and shouldn't your attitude be, you shouldn't have had a karate fight next to the pool? I don't know what to tell you. I didn't get involved in the karate fight, so I'm staying here. That would be my opinion. Would be, hey, yeah, I saw what happened, dude. I'm sorry you're getting kicked out of the park. I wasn't karate fighting. You were. And the other funny thing, of course, nobody phones the police. You got a karate fight. Give me another karate fight. Yeah, I just sent him out. How many kids? About 20. I also thought, too, that... and another one, too. The heel turn, which is a wrestling terminology, the heel turn by, for lack of a better term, penis breath, because I don't know what the character's real name is. I can't remember now. Because that's what I know it as. That's what everybody calls him. And the funny part was, he joins Cobra Kai, and he's like, yeah, these guys treat me with respect. They don't call me penis breath. 2 seconds later, Kyler's like, shut up, penis breath. And it's like, see, you went over because they've got fancy food and you can get smoothies. Big whoop. I really thought that was funny. It's really well put together. It's really, really well written. And it's just fun. It's not meant to be taken seriously. It doesn't take itself seriously. I thought that was pretty obvious with most of the scenes in every episode that doesn't take itself seriously at all anymore. And I thought that when Amanda ended up in a bar fight, I was like, and we're done. Everybody's been in a bar fight now. All of them. They've all been in. And then the other thing that got me too was Johnny saying that he had seen Daniel take on an entire hockey team. He's like, yeah, all 5 of them. And I'm like, not an entire hockey team. But since Johnny said it, I guess we'll allow it. And that was a ridiculous scene as well when Daniel fought and beat up 5 hockey players at the same time. It's just, and again, one thing that this show does too, where I find myself talking to the TV a bit, is when you have characters surrounded, and you guys know the scene, if you watched it from near the end of the season, where you've got, Johnny and Chosen, and they're surrounded by all these bad guys, and they're all senseis, but they only attack one at a time. They're really nice. And though they get kind of murdery kind of fast, did the guy who got his finger cut off actually get shown being loaded into an ambulance? Did anybody care about the guy? I understand he's a villain, and I don't know that it was necessarily a speaking part outside of, hey, knock it off. Where do you think you're going? That kind of language. But yeah, I didn't see him again after his finger got lopped off. I would like to see season 6 opening with him holding his hand, blood everywhere, going, can anybody help me? Hello? As the ambulances are driving off. That's kind of what I want to see. And then, like, Daniel can't find a ride, and when he's going to this guy with a truck, like, I need a ride, and the guy's like, what are you talking about, need a ride? And then as soon as Daniel's like, look, I'm getting in your truck, we gotta go. Then the guy's like banging on the truck, and 2 guys get out, and all 3 of them stand together. I'm like, okay, wait, so everybody in this town's ready for a fight. What were the 2 guys doing inside the truck while the other guy's behind the truck? What's going on here? Where are these guys headed? What are we getting? Where is that banjo music I hear? Like, there was a lot of things going on in that scene. And then the funny part is that then when Stingray shows up and drives off, then, the guy yells at him while he's driving away. I'm like, why are you yelling at him? Nothing happened. Punch wasn't thrown. You're the one that was ready to have 3 guys fight him. Apparently, if you're drunk, kick fighting fixes it. Apparently, if you're drunk, you kick fight better, because there's one sensei that Johnny and Chosen couldn't beat up by themselves easily, and yet when they're drunk, and there's 6 of them, suddenly they do pretty well. Mike didn't last long enough in that fight, I thought, but I understand why. I understand why they had Mike just knocked out. First off, he was definitely on something. But I just thought Mike's character, I'm trying to picture this, like, okay, so your store gets burnt down, and a while after that, you decide, I'm going to go steal a limo, and I'm gonna do something with these guys that I blame for me having my business burnt down, and I didn't have any insurance for it, because of course not. And then I had to laugh too with, at the end, he's stolen this car, which apparently is no longer a crime, because nobody arrests him for stealing the limo, which is clearly not his. But then he's got a Rembrandt in the back of the car. He's like, yeah, I think that's worth as much as a store. And Daniel's like, you scamp. And all I could think was, if it's a stolen Rembrandt, people are going to know. Oh my gosh. Oh, yes, the stolen Rembrandt. I'm sure you can sell that and nobody will bat an eye. Nobody's going to be like, so, where'd you get that Rembrandt? I guess the only responsible answer would be karate fighting. Well, we know that's not a crime, so all right, we're taking the Rembrandt because he got it karate fighting. So that's the answer, karate fighting. So maybe that'll be the thing now. If you want to call into work tomorrow, you want to say, yeah, I can't come in, karate fighting. You guys understand? I'll see you on Tuesday because I have to do some karate fighting. So there you go. I really enjoyed it, though. It was a lot of fun. I will likely watch it again. I will try to get my wife to watch Season 5 with me. It is a little less ridiculous than the previous seasons. It's a little more fun than Season 4. And so I'm looking forward to the next season whenever it comes out. And yes, I'm an old man. I'm an old fart. And it's a show with a lot of young kids in it, but it's also got guys my age and older. And I really think what's nice with this show is it's definitely generated that, people in their early 20s, teens can get into it, and then they can go back and watch the original Karate Kid movie. And for people like me, who absolutely love the original Karate Kid movie, gives it so much more depth now than it ever was meant to have. and it's great fun to see William Zabka replaying Johnny. And I really think his career, I mean, right after playing Johnny, there wasn't a lot there for him. And now, I would argue he's more famous now than he ever was during the 80s. Because in the 80s, every movie, every jerk was a blonde haired guy. They were all jerks. And in the 80s, every girl with sunglasses or with regular glasses was ugly until they took off their glasses and took their hair down. I always thought that was weird. I would always think, she's really pretty. What does her having glasses have to do with anything? But okay, she took her glasses off and now she's pretty. But there we are. So let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. If you saw Cobra Kai Season 5, what did you think? Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing right through. You just happened upon this video. And hey, thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.